We are back in Las Vegas, Nevada, a place no one ever thought the Super Bowl would ever come and visit for the longest of time. Steve Largent, Hall of Famer, with us, Seattle Seahawks Hall of Fame wide receiver, University of Tulsa. You pointed back. No one could have ever seen this coming.
I never would have said the NFL was going to hold their Super Bowl in Las Vegas. It was just the city of sin.
Yep.
And the NFL wasn't going to have anything to do with it, and something's changed.
Well, money. They got a lot of money,
yeah.
Millions and bazillions or whatever of money, but that has a lot to do with it. When you hear Hall of Fame attached to your name, does it still give you goosebumps?
Yes. It's like, wait a second. That really, I did do that.
Yeah, yeah. It's a great career. With us again, Steve Largent, Paul Catalina, David Smoak, 365 Sports.
You were one of the most polished route runners in the league. You gave people fits because you're not a big guy. I mean,
right.
like, feel like guys like Calvin Johnson, like Jerry Rice is bigger than you. Like,
right.
You're not a big guy. How much was that like psychological advantage that you used, knowing that like maybe they said, "Oh, I've got him." Like that last guy didn't get him, but I'm better than that last guy.
Right.
And you were going to be like, "No, I'm going to be open."
Yeah. Well, and that was always my attitude. I was going to be open, but I did sort of play that game of kind of psyching them out about running routes. There's a lot to running routes. It's not just run down and turn around and catch the ball. There's a lot to it, and so I tried to be as technical as I possibly could, and change up my routes and change up the way I ran them so that they would never get any keys off me.
How many reps does it take before you get on the same page with Dave Craig or whoever's throwing the ball to you?
It takes some time. It does. I'd be lying if I didn't say so. But, Dave was on our team for like 3 or 4 years before he became a starter. Jim Zorn was, of course,
right.
Our quarterback. Then he broke his ankle and never really came back from that. But, it took a little bit of time, but not too much time. Dave was our second team quarterback, and so there was a lot of times I was, catching routes from him. And so it didn't take long to get up to speed.
When you think about Seattle's got a coaching change with
yes.
Pete Carroll gone for a long time, won a Super Bowl, possibly could have won 2 or 3. You look at your former team. What do you see with what they're doing right now in the offseason?
Well, I think that changing coaches was a necessary evil. Pete was a good coach, a good guy. Never had a harsh word to say to me or anybody else that I know of. I just think, Pete was 72 years old, and it was time for a change. So it didn't surprise me. And I think the new coach that came in is really just what they need. He's 36 years old, a young guy, be the youngest head coach in the NFL right now. And I think he brings a defensive mindset, which is something that they need to do, is have a strong defense, stronger defense than they've had in the years past. So it'll be interesting to see how he does.
There's some fun wide receivers on that team.
Yeah, DK Metcalf,
Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, Tyler Lockett from Tulsa.
Yeah.
So they've got a lot of people to work with and really do well as a team. But getting a new coach, I think, is a good thing for them. I don't, Pete Carroll was a great coach, won a Super Bowl, was in another one. And so, you can't really say much negative about Pete other than he, like all of us, was getting older.
Yep.
And 72 years old, I think it was time to hang it up.
You have all the awards you could imagine. Of course, the Gold Jacket's the one that is immortality. But what did it mean when you won NFL Man of the Year?
Well, that's where they look at kind of your whole history of what you've done for the league and for your team and for different organizations in your city. And so that was something that I just did. I didn't do it to win most valuable player or whatever it was, but I just did it because I felt like that I needed to give back in the community that had supported me for so long.
I'm going to ask. I've been wondering this all day since we knew we were going to have you. And I'm not. I don't. We need to get it political here. But you used to be in Congress.
I did.
And do you wake up in the morning and thank God that you don't have that job anymore?
Every single morning, I wake up and say that. Yes, it is a lot different bird of prey that's going on in Washington right now, and it's really disappointing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you see that coming? Did you see? No. It's happened pretty quickly, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. Like within the last 3-4 years, it's gotten worse anyway. In the last 3 or 4 years, and so I didn't see it coming. I think that it's such a revered institution, and to see it go into a demise was really disappointing to me. Really disappointing.
Absolutely. Anyway, it used to be the two sides didn't agree on the same way to solve the problem. Mm-hmm. Now they don't agree that the same thing is a problem.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And when they agreed on, like, maybe they didn't even agree on necessarily the right way to do it, but they knew they had to do it anyway. Yeah. They could come up with a solution that both sides could live with, and they can't even do that now.
Yeah.
No, it's almost as if, and again, you can't agree with the other side, or you yourself probably.
Or you're not a good guy.
Or you're not a good person.
Right.
It's crazy.
Exactly.
Even if it's a good idea and it should be done, it's not the same. What is it about Tulsa? Drew Pearson, Steve Largent. What is it about that school that it seemed like it's a G5, whatever one, but it does feed the NFL?
Yeah.
It does feed the National Football League.
For some reason, we've been able to attract a lot of talent in our football program at the University of Tulsa, and they've really done very well. But I don't know what for me, I can tell you why I went to school there. It was because my grandfather sat me down and said, Steve, you got a lot of opportunities to go to different schools, but the University of Tulsa is a great school. You'll get a great education there. You'll get a great diploma, and I think that'd be a great place for you to go. And I listened to my grandfather. My dad left my mom when I was 6 years old, and so he was kind of a godly figure and a man of man, and I listened to him. And I think he was absolutely right. I got a great education there at the University of Tulsa. Jerry Rome came back my last 3 years, and that was a godsend. And so it was. It turned out to be the perfect place for me to be.
Jerry Rome was one of those guys. He's a Coryell level innovator, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, he's at that level. Jerry was just a really smart guy. He still is a very smart guy who knew exactly what he wanted to do when you took the field, and I just have all the respect in the world, and I love Jerry Rome.
Steve, when we have interviews with Hall of Famers, whoever, there's always a connection with a company or a cause. Pork rinds, your thoughts about, this is hot honey flavored, smoke flavor added, Southern recipes, pork rinds. We've had pork rind representatives on the show many, many times. Your thoughts about the company?
Well, you eat those hot honey pork rinds, and if there's not tears in your eyes, something's wrong.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But the Gridiron Greats is a fantastic institution.
Oh, it is. It is. Started by Mike Ditka 10 or 15 years ago to raise money for guys who are really hurting, that don't have the kind of support that players have now after they finish their career. And he's just done a great job with it. And so I'm helping Mike with his efforts to raise more money for these players by helping the pork rind industry and being here today.
I'll never forget. This is my 30th Radio Row, and I remember when they first. And it was
30. Wow.
There were like some that were like, okay, what are they doing? And then all of a sudden it picked up, not just because Mike Ditka or what you're doing now, but it made sense.
Yeah.
Former players who need some help from the former players.
That we all loved, and really the back of the NFL's back was built on these guys.
They didn't have the benefits.
Right.
I mean,
that's exactly right.
You couldn't make $50,000 on TikTok just by going.
My first 3 years in the league, I made $28,000, $35,000, and $42,000.
There you go.
I didn't make $50,000, and I was in the Pro Bowl my third year.
Well, what are you complaining about?
Again, it's Southern recipe, a small batch. It's pork rinds. It's Hall of Fame wide receiver, University of Tulsa great, Seattle Seahawks, and with the Oilers for a handful of time. And again, Steve Largent with us on 365 Sports. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, guys.